We're a go. Hi, and welcome to the CAFMA Connect. I'm your host, Fire Chief Scott Freitag, and with me today, once again, Training Captain Eric Merrill. Eric, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
It was last minute.
It's okay.
I'm
just glad you thought of me.
Yeah.
Even if I was last on the list.
Well, you weren't last on the list. I mean, Chief Parra was up there on the list, but of course he was busy. And we didn't think we were going to do a podcast this week because we have a big migration coming up in our tech division that Jonah has been working on, and it's no easy task. So that was going to be this week. It's going to be pushed off a little bit because they want to make sure there's as few hiccups in the system as possible, especially as we're migrating to .gov. We're migrating our entire email system, our entire Microsoft system, completely changing. Mm-hmm. That's going to throw some people off.
Yeah, a lot of people, especially in operations. Yeah. Right. No, I appreciate you asking me on. I felt like it was a heavy task. Whoever had to follow up last week's podcast, I think following Nick Fournier.
Oh, yeah.
And even the segment, I'm glad there's no screen here today, by the way, but the segment on Chief Parra's mustache alone, yes. I feel like that's like, you know how sitcoms always have those spin-offs? Like at some point could be a spin-off podcast on just his mustache.
I think it could. I mean, the mustache itself could have a podcast.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to make you look like a scary clown in the little clip art that we use.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good clickbait.
Don't talk so fast. It could still happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're not saying what it's going to be, Eric.
Yeah.
But we have pictures.
Just be gentle.
We can use.
Yeah.
and Jonah is absolutely creative with these things.
Yeah, that's what scares me.
But, the reason I called you and asked you to come on is because this is a good follow-up to Captain Fournier, where we were talking about recruitment. And being the training captain, you're heavily involved and really going to lead the next academy. So what I thought we could talk about is overall recruitment, what's different this time than what we've done in the past. We have a new testing process because we're not requiring Firefighter 1 and 2, so we can't give the normal test, and that's called the Wunderlich Test, which we're not taking.
No, we're not allowed to.
Right, but other people are taking it, and what it measures. And then kind of ending with, what did the academy look like before, and what's it going to look like this time around? Mm-hmm. So let's start with recruiting. We are doing some things differently this time, and you said you had a conversation with HR this morning, Lacey and Patty and Karen. Yeah. How is it looking this morning as far as numbers?
Yeah, as far as numbers go, I know that we have over 30 applications in. I think one of the biggest caveats I would say at this time in the podcast, being Wednesday the 10th, is if you are turning in an application, please make sure that it's completed. And that includes not only the application, which is online, which is something new that we've done. It streamlines the process, but your CPR card has to be current. Your CPAT has to be an actual CPAT document.
And current.
And current, please. So all the documents, all the instructions are laid out for you on the website. Right. We're asking everybody, please just take a second, read all the instructions, fulfill all the requests of the district before you apply. It takes a lot of pressure off HR because, man, they're working their rear ends off. They're really doing a great job with this whole process, not to mention all their other job functions. So to have to take a minute to call somebody to ask for something else, it's I mean, it's a professional courtesy that they're.
We took some time this week and we tried to take out some of those abilities for them to screw it up. So.
Oh, perfect.
We updated the application on Monday or Tuesday and tried to firefighter proof it. So,
that's difficult to do. Firefighter proof anything.
Yeah.
But that does go to attention to detail. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're looking for people that have attention to detail, and turning in applications that aren't complete or do not have all the requirements. It's all spelled out for you. And thank you, Jonah, for making those updates because that'll really help. We did something different this time as far as we coordinated our efforts as we went out because with changes in technology, we didn't realize some of the things that we could do that we can do now. And that's why we had you and Chief Parra at the table, Chief Fatima for operations. But we also had Kathy there for social media. We had Jonah there for social media, optimization of search engines, all of those things vitally important. The digital online application, all brand new. HR, because, well, Patty's new.
Yeah.
And so everybody's there, and actually Patty's running she's running the recruitment. She ran the meeting. She's going to run some upcoming training for us. So I think what we did this time is pretty exciting because we really got the word out. And 36 applications. It's the 10th or 11th of August right now.
Yeah.
And it's open through September 11th. So still a lot of time to apply, and I expect we'll get more applications in.
Yeah, and I know we will. I've spoke to just a few people in the last 24 hours over the phone that a couple of them from out of state. So if you're out of state, by all means, please apply. I know right now travel costs, although they're going down a little bit, it's still a task. But I mean, let's just be honest, to live where we live and to work where we work with the people we have here, I'm sorry, but maybe it's a little braggadocious, but you're not going to find a better organization to work for than here. So maybe that's our new slogan and motto.
I like that.
But yeah, just come on out and test with us. You won't regret it. But absolutely.
And we're going to let Chief Tom Shannon with Scottsdale know that.
Absolutely.
Because he's definitely looking for people. They have a big turnover there, and it's okay to be second best.
Yeah, or third or fourth, wherever you want to.
Whatever.
Yeah, wherever you fit in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is a good organization to work for, I think. We are solidly good, as we said last week. But we continue to progress, and I think that's the important thing about the Arizona Fire Service for people outside of Arizona to understand is that we don't rest on our laurels. We don't take a step back because our view of the fire service is you don't get stagnant. You're either moving or you're falling behind. It's one of the two.
Yep, move or die.
So we continually strive to move forward and progress things. And with that, it creates a lot of opportunity for folks who work here, whether they're in operations or non-operations roles.
100%. Yeah, and one of the items I spoke with a gentleman last night from out of state, I just explained to him, he was kind of asking me about, CAFMA and the things he's dealing with where he's at now. And I said, well, basically everything you're dealing with now, we have the opposite. We have, if you want to promote, we have all sorts of opportunities with attrition.
Right.
A lot of good people are retiring the next few years, so that's opportunities. We don't bottleneck anymore. So, I mean, we have all sorts of opportunities to promote. There's other divisions you can work within. So it's not just, solely operations firefighting.
Right.
There's all sorts of stuff you can do, even on your days off, to help, subsidize maybe the cost of living or different things like that. But,
oh, yeah. There's a lot of opportunities here. I'm going to stop you real quick because I'm blinking a lot. So if you're watching this on YouTube, my allergies are horrible right now, especially with some new medication. So it's drying everything out. I keep blinking at you, and I'm not.
I thought you were having a stroke, so I was just about to move stuff off the table.
I'm not winking, and it's not the rock star, who is not a sponsor, by the way.
Not yet.
Not yet. No, it's just that. So I thought I'd throw that out there because the dryness just continually gets worse. So continue on.
Yeah. Well, as far as just the opportunities with the organization, there's too many to really name, but as far as, wages, pay, benefits, all those things factored in, plus tuition reimbursement, there's all sorts of extra little benefits and policies that we have in place that just help entice somebody who wants to relocate here, start over, whatever it is. But we have too many opportunities for anybody to pass up on.
Oh, yeah. So because we don't require Firefighter 1 and 2 anymore, that means we have to give a different test today. And we opted to go a different direction because giving an in-house test really limits the people who can apply unless they're willing to travel. But using a program like Wonderlic, which is the test that we chose, that's something that we just send a link to, and the people applying can take that at their leisure at home. I think they have 2 weeks to take it once their app's turned in. Tell me about Wonderlic.
So the Wunderlich Test is, again, like you said, online, but it measures 3 big facets, and I have them wrote down so I don't screw this up, but they assess your cognitive, personality, and motivation abilities. Okay. So with those big 3 factors, they're time tests, and to make a long story short is the individual goes through, takes their, you can't really study for this test, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
But you go through, you take your test, just be very honest, and it's going to gauge those 3 main abilities or those big characteristics. and then it gives you a final grade. And then what it'll do is kind of give us a more well-rounded understanding of your personality, how you think, how you make decisions, what motivates you, etc. Because again, like we've talked about in the past, we hire for character and then we train for skill.
Right. Well, and dropping Firefighter 1 and 2 gives us that ability. Not that we weren't doing it before. It's just that we have to add weeks, and we'll talk about that recruitment a little bit. We also went through the book, and I know you're going to drop off Patty's copy tour, went through the book, The Talent War, which I thought was an outstanding reference guide for what are you doing, and so you can ask yourself and challenge your organization, what are we doing for hiring? And I think overall we were pretty in line, but I did have some concerns because we typically would just call people and say, hey, do you want to be on the interview panel? And we'd bring them in and we'd give them some questions and they would ask them and they would circle something. And if someone technically answered the question but wasn't really what we were looking for, if we said, what is ethics to you? And they regurgitated the definition, well, technically they answered the question. That's when you're trying to hire for character, that's not what you're looking for. So we've talked with Patty and her staff, and we've identified some folks to be on the panel. And then in a few weeks, you guys are going to go in, you're going to sit down and have some training on what types of questions do we ask? Which ones are we going to use? Why do we ask that question? What are we truly looking for in an answer? What fits? And then how do you document that?
Yeah, and that's where it gets more tricky because we're getting rid of the technical questions as far as the firefighter-centric questions. Had you had to have your Firefighter 1 and 2 certification, you would already have this whole semester's worth of education on firefighter tactics, strategies, and skills. We don't get to ask that now, which is fine because now we get to ask more dynamic questions that allows you to elaborate on who you are, why are you the way you are. I mean, I really just want to know what motivates you, what kicks you out of bed in the morning, what challenges have you faced, why did you face those challenges, and how did you recover from that? You know, that we're kind of gauging a little bit more resiliency that way with those type of dynamic questions. The grading gets to be more difficult though because it's not something that I can pull out of NFPA or IFSTA and say, well, these are the check boxes you have to meet.
Sure.
Like you said, that's not really gauging who you are. It gauges that, okay, well, you took a class and passed a test, which we already knew that, or you wouldn't be eligible to test. So it just allows you to actually control the narrative in the room. Tell us what you want to tell us because this is your opportunity.
Right. No, and I think it's going to be good because as we identify people that are interested in being on oral boards, to teach them about the questions, to teach them about how to score and grade the answers, it does something else for us in the future. Most of those folks are looking for promotions, which means when they look to promote in the future and it comes to the oral interview process, they are better prepared because our goal here, it's not competition for promotions, it's to help you be successful. And this is just another way that if you look at it from that perspective, we're helping people be successful in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a large responsibility sitting on the other side of the table when you're grading what somebody's telling you, which the more dynamic, the more about you questions they are. These are some very good people being very vulnerable with you and giving you very personal information. And you're trying not to judge them. You're just trying to grade it appropriately to how does this match the question we asked you and how does this fit our culture? So with that being said, that huge responsibility on the individual on the panel, we don't take lightly who we choose to be on these. And this is not only for hiring, but this is also for our promotional exams as well.
No, absolutely. It's vitally important that we do that. And this will give everyone an opportunity to kind of explore who they are. You know, who's the people on the panel, who they are as they're looking to promote. Well, why do I want to promote? What does this mean to me? What are the character things that we're looking at? Because for the Chiefs interview, if you're promoting, I'm not asking you about strategy and tactics. I'm asking you about how you lead and manage people, right? Because we see a lot of people in leadership roles who are not leaders. They're managers marginally. And then we see a lot of people who aren't in leadership roles, by title, not in leadership role, but who are great leaders. And those are the folks that we want to see promoted into positions that can help move the organization forward.
Absolutely.
So we've changed how we put everything out. We've changed the tests that we use, and this is it's like the CPAT. The CPAT is an accredited, I guess, test.
Yeah.
The Wonderlic is very similar. So it's not something we just made up. As a matter of fact, we pay for the service.
Yeah.
The nice thing about this versus the National Test Network is the National Test Network, the applicant has to pay to take the test and be on the list, and that gets expensive for the applicants. This one, the agency simply buys access to the system, and we simply send the link for people to use. So from that perspective, I think that works better. We are cleaning up our oral board processes to better fit what we're looking for in people, so that's good. But now we move into the academy, which used to be a 9-week academy. And in order to get Firefighter 1 and 2 in there, it's a 15-week academy. Yeah. Tell me, Eric, what is different between the 9-week and the 15-week? You're going to be running it. Does the extended time frame, is that exciting, or are you like, what did they do now?
No, actually, I look forward to it. And Chief Parra and myself have built really good relationships with other fire academy, recruit academies across the state and even in Nevada and other parts of the country. So this is something that a lot of bigger city departments do. And we're not necessarily a big city by any means, but we're a big town and we're growing.
Sure.
So where we're going to have more people in our academies, hiring more. This is a natural progression I think we're making. So we already had some insight from those bigger academies, how they run. So that's what came up with the 15-week idea. But ultimately, the first 9 weeks is where we're going to teach the Fire 1 and 2 in-house. So they're learning what they need to learn to still pass the state test, with the caveat of the collaboration of our SOGs along with the state JPRs and things like that.
JPR.
Job performance requirements. So those are skill sheets with, let's say, throwing a ladder. You have to throw a 14-foot ladder. There's a step-by-step process to do that. That's safe, fast, and efficient.
Right.
So they meet that requirement in that time frame. They check that JPR off the box, but they may get tested on that at the end of the 9 weeks.
Okay.
There's also a written exam at the end of the 9 weeks. So the reason it's 9 weeks is because we have a textbook about that thick. Just giving you a heads up, it's about that thick.
Now, when you say that thick, for people who are listening on a podcast platform that's not YouTube, how thick is that thick?
It's probably 4.5, 5 inches thick. It's pretty good size.
That's a big book.
And it also comes with a workbook and some homework. They'll have some homework on the weekends, but nothing too crazy. We want you to spend time with your families. But at the same time, it's a lot of work in the first 9 weeks. You'll test out. Everyone, I promise, is going to do really well if they just listen to everything that we have to say and, read the whole book and everything.
Right. So do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, kind of like the application process.
Right.
Yeah. So another reason we do it in 9 weeks, though, is ultimately so you have to take a state exam. In the event somebody does not pass the first time, it's okay. We're going to love you up. We're going to work with you. It still gives you a 30-day allowance that you can retest, still be within the 15-week academy, and that way it doesn't short-side us a little bit when it's time to send people out on the engines.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, I think there's some things that we're adding to the academy as we move along. So one of those is wildland, because we had added that already. Initially, we had required red cards of everyone, and then determined that, why require a red card? We want to train them the way that we want to train them for the red card anyways. So we'll do that in the academy. There's going to be a behavioral health component to this one as well. So explain that to me. What are we doing?
So first, just to backtrack a little bit, I just want to give a big shout out to Captain McCarty, Dan McCarty, Joseph Vanetta, and there's several other good people in our wildland division that do a phenomenal job. But it is a 5-day S13190 wildland class, and they do a great job. And I think there's a plan, Kathy knows, or is finding out about when that week goes on for our social media and some healthy marketing and also education come that time.
So she's finding out about it as she's listening to this podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure perfect. I probably told her at some point. She forgot.
Maybe.
Yeah. Or she's relearning. Yeah. But no, that's such a phenomenal program that we do. And then the behavioral health side, we're not really going to market or advertise that as much. But we do, we have a peer support team here
Right.
in the organization that we're very blessed that our organization supports. It was a training started by the IAFF that was disseminated here.
Right.
And so we have a lot of tools with that, along with some individuals here who have received other trainings and had some other experiences that they bring in. We'll actually shut down the campus for a whole day, and I'll assign the recruits a couple projects. Half the recruits will do research and present on cancer awareness, and the other group will do a presentation on behavioral health.
Oh, very good.
At the end of each presentation, though, they are to deliver all of our EAP resources for, like for an example, for behavioral health.
Right.
We have the Craig Tiger Act, and we have all sorts of other opportunities now with I think you spoke with Ms. Ritterbusch and
Debbie Ritterbusch with Start Moving On Counseling Services. We actually have a contract with her to provide services. So her group is training our peer support folks. They're offering support to our families, our personnel, and if we have someone that's in crisis while on duty, we have emergency contact numbers for her. Additionally, if we run a bad call, I know we had a bad wreck last night, engine 75 and engine 50, so Prescott and us responded to. It was fatal. We can call in those resources to assist us, or we can be directed, hey, peer support may be the best approach right now. And the thing about the academy, and this is where sometimes the fire service challenges ourselves, is, hey, come be a firefighter. You're probably going to get cancer, and you're going to have PTSD. It's not great marketing.
No, it's not really a good incentive.
It's not good. And I think the way we market it is, yes, the fire service can be a dangerous profession, physically and emotionally, like almost any other profession. I think the important part of that is, what are we doing to address that? What are we doing to address the dangers of the carcinogens to protect our personnel? So we try to avoid those cancers. What are we doing to provide pre-screenings and ongoing screenings so that should someone develop cancer, we catch it earlier so that it's treatable? On the mental health side of things, I worked with a PhD out of Lindenwood University when I was back in Missouri. And he did his PhD work at Ground Zero. He arrived in New York on September 10th, 2001 to start his doctoral work. And then September 11th happened. And so he went down, and that's where he did it. And so what we had talked about was one of the things we don't do well in training our new personnel is really explaining to them some of the things that they're going to see, and some of the ways that they can process that, some of the tools they can use. And, we're getting to the point where the cultural change is it's okay to say I'm not okay. But I think we need to remind people, and we talked about this in the BC meeting on Wednesday morning this week, it's also okay to say I'm okay if you're truly okay. So if you're a new firefighter sitting in a group and you ran a bad call with your crew, and you're truly okay, it's great to say that. In fact, if you are, we'd encourage you to say, you know what, I'm okay. Here's how I process this. This is what helps me get through it, because it's a learning process together. It doesn't matter if you're 20 years on or 20 days on. We process things differently, and we can share those tools. So it's not you're going to end up with PTSD. Based on the job that we have, all of us have some level of PTS.
Absolutely.
But we don't have the disorder part of it. And yeah, you're going to be exposed to carcinogens, but just from the time I started to today, the change is amazing. I'd stick my head over a dumpster fire and just put it out. Well, you don't do that today, because we know dumpster fires are some of the most dangerous fires that we fight, because God knows what's in that dumpster.
Right.
So we've made those changes to address those concerns and lessen the impact on the firefighters, because the end goal is have a great, healthy career, promote, achieve, do whatever you want, and then go in and have a healthy retirement.
Absolutely.
That's the plan.
Absolutely. And we've taken those measures I think even more so on the preventative side, where even in the New Hire Academy, there's a day set up for just mental health. There's almost 3/4 of a day where it's just going on deconning your SCBA, your engine, the ambulance, your gear, all that stuff, doing it the right way, helping Eric Trujillo out with how you take your bunker gear apart to have it go to the extractor. So even on the behavioral health side, there's opportunities for you to go take preventative measures because, like you said, it's not a if, it's a when. You're going to see things that we're not naturally supposed to see.
No.
But it's understanding I need to go talk to somebody or see somebody or go this avenue before it's a problem.
Well, and the difference between an emergency responder and the lay public, a regular citizen, is expectation. We expect to see some of these things so it doesn't freak us out right away. However, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have an impact on us. And I remember speaking at DWI impact panels or DUI impact panels back in St. Louis. And what I would tell people is, look, we wear a badge. And some people think that just protects us. Like, hey, you see these things and everything's okay. The reality is when we go home and take the uniform off, we're just the same as everybody else. Yeah. And so we carry those little bits and pieces with us. It's what are the healthy tools that we use to address that? And that's why we now have a retainer agreement with Start Moving On Counseling Services. We have access to Mighty Oaks. We have access to Center for Excellence in Maryland. We can point you in any direction you want to go and we can get you help.
Yeah.
We're working on a grant for cancer screening of employees to get a baseline on everybody. We're doing more blood work than we used to do, checking for changes in blood work levels.
Yeah.
I used to be a paramedic. I'm not anymore.
That's okay.
So I think there's a lot of things that we're doing. So if you're out there and you're on the fence about whether you want to be a firefighter or not, and part of your concern or your family's concern is, hey, the cancer is a high risk in this profession. Behavioral health is a high risk in this profession. Don't just look at those two things. When you're looking at an agency, determine what that agency is doing to minimize or mitigate those risks the best they can.
Yeah.
Life is inherently risky. Every time you get out of bed in the morning, you get in the car, you drive away from your house, that's a risk. This profession is the same way. The other side of that is don't get lulled into a sense of comfort. Situational awareness is vitally important, especially on an emergency scene. You're out on the side of the highway, whatever that is. You need to be mindful of that. But I think for our organization, it's good that we started the conversation this way, Eric, because I think it's important to get that out and say, yes, these are risk factors in this profession. Here's what's done to try to protect you to the best of our ability.
Absolutely.
And we're looking for paramedics. We need paramedics, lots of paramedics. So, and if you're an EMT and you get hired and we put you through Firefighter 1 and 2 and you're interested in being a paramedic, we'll put you through paramedic school. Absolutely. So there's opportunity. And I know people are dropping their medic licenses right now. And truly, Eric, I don't understand it. I mean, I dropped mine after 24 years because I'm in a position where I don't run calls.
Right.
But a lot of folks in our career field say, if I had to go back, I'd go back and ride backwards on an engine. That was my favorite time. If I had to go back, I'd go back to a fire-based ambulance because we got to run everything. Fire calls, car crashes, medical calls, we were busy all the time. And I just love that part of the job. And so if I had to go back today, I'd want to go back to that. I'd want to get my medic back, and I would want to go back on a fire-based ambulance as a firefighter medic.
Yeah. So a couple of things about just the paramedic side of it is, one, you're right. And it's a national issue with a lack of not only paramedics, but EMTs as well. I believe in between 2020 and 2021, there's like a 30-something% drop off of people interested in their paramedicine and dropping their certifications. And I could be wrong. Maybe Chief Naminsky will chime in on this. But I'll tell you this. I think one of the greatest accomplishments I've ever had in my career was going to medic school. Just some things that I was able to do on calls that were life or death or that were very serious calls, having that extra knowledge and having that ability to be able to jump in and do just that little bit more. For me, that's one of those things I've always been able to professionally hang my hat on with a little bit more pride in my career. Not to say that I couldn't do important things as an EMT, but I mean, just obviously there's more you're going to do as a medic.
Yeah. Well, and if there had been reciprocity between Missouri and the state of Arizona for my paramedic license, because I didn't have national registry, I would not have dropped it. But in order for me to maintain my paramedic license here, I was going to have to go through like a 6 or 9 month full-time training program for medic, and I can't do that and be the fire chief at the same time. It didn't make sense. But I still have it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have dropped it just because I enjoyed that part of the job. I enjoyed doing that. Here's the interesting side, Eric. Some of the medics are leaving. They're not necessarily leaving the fire side, but they're leaving private civilian ambulance services, and they're going to the hospital to work as medics. Because the hospitals are having trouble getting nurses, and nurses are leaving because they're tired of the hospital setting. So I talked to the Bureau of EMS recently and said, here's what I'm seeing, weirdest thing. I wonder if there's a bridge from nursing to paramedic. So some of the nurses are like, yeah, I'd rather go work for the fire department, but I don't know how to get my paramedic license. Well, apparently, TJ McKay, who's now over training for the Bureau of EMS, retired out of Arizona Fire and Medical Authority, has 2 pages or a page and a half of examples of programs where you can go from nurse to paramedic. So, hey, if you're a nurse and you want to get into the fire service, you should seriously think about it. And I can pull the information from the Bureau, talk to Yavapai College, and see how we get that program, or even through Chief Nemensky, how we could get the program and get you bridged from nurse to medic.
Absolutely. And the other thing, too, is if you're applying and you do have your paramedic, there are bonus points that you can obtain. So we have military points. We have points if you have a degree, and also if you're a paramedic. So if you're on the fence again, just know you may have a leg up by an extra 2 points. And we've seen that actually make a big difference in people jumping on those lists to get to the Chief's overboard and then even in the Chief's overboard.
It does. And we don't require everyone to be a paramedic. But if we need a certain number of paramedics, that means a paramedic's going to get a leg up over an EMT, not just in points, but in consideration, because we have to fill a paramedic slot.
Absolutely.
So just something to think about. And we are sending a couple people typically a year through paramedic school, and it seems to be going well, and we're paying for that. So bonus to them. I know back when I got into it, I had to go through paramedic school myself, and Firefighter 1 and 2 and EMT, all that stuff was done. But I think I'm pretty excited about where we're headed with this, because I've talked to some other folks, and they said, some of the best hires we've ever had are people who are in one career field who were given an opportunity to try the fire service. Some have made the sacrifice, putting themselves through Firefighter 1 and 2 and EMT, all while working their full-time job, which is a pain and it's a lot of pressure and strain on a family. By doing this, we're giving other people opportunity. And even our military members, who they can get EMT while on duty, but Firefighter 1 and 2 can be a problem. So
even our wildland firefighters out there, they're struggling with their schedule. So if we can be more amenable and just bring the right people in, it's just all the better.
It's all about character here. That's what we're looking for.
Absolutely.
Is the right people for the job. So if you think you're the right fit for CAFMA, I would recommend you go to our website. It's still cazfire.org currently. Correct, Jonah? Yeah, thumbs up, cazfire.org. Go to the Join Us page if you want to put in your application. But before you do that, look at the home page and look at the Kafma Compass. That's our guiding document. It's 7 pages long. It's not super long, but it gives you our overall philosophy and really breaks down our mission, vision, values. It also clearly outlines my expectations for everyone in the organization, which are pretty basic and straightforward. But it's a good document to get a feel for who CAFMA is and what we're looking for in new hires.
Absolutely. And if that new hire maybe is the same cultural fit, then that'll just be even more emphasis on why you should apply and we want to work here.
But be able to explain why it's a good cultural fit. Don't regurgitate what the compass says to us. Tell us why it's important. Tell us why you feel that your values, your character, your philosophies fit this organization, because that's what we want.
Yeah, we want to know your why. Why are you motivated? Why do you want to do this? But on the back half, you're going to have to show it, though. And we're going to ask you in the academy, you have to live your why the whole 15 weeks you're there. So we're excited to see where this goes.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited, as an understatement, for this next academy. I know all of our recruit training officers are besides themselves. So we're all ready to get going with this. We've got fun things planned. A couple things we did the last academy we're going to bring back and maybe add a little bit more explosions or something fun to it. But
Right.
we did a 24-hour ride was one of the things, or 24-hour shift at training that we documented on the Facebook and social media. So we're going to do some more stuff like that, be a little bit more creative, but we're going to make the 15 weeks fly by.
Well, and if you think about it, here's the other benefit to this entire thing. If you're in the academy with us, you get to personally meet Chief Parra's mustache.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll meet you on the first day.
Yeah, and that's something that not everybody gets.
No, it's usually you have to pay admission for some sort of
Right.
spectacle like that, but we'll
Kind of like at the circus.
yeah, that's a good way to put that.
Right,
Yeah.
kind of like at the circus. You pay a fee to get in. So,
We also got the job fair coming up at Carta.
oh, that's right, job fair at Carta. What is the
27th.
information on that?
August 27th.
Okay.
There will be a job fair at Carta from 10 to 2, and Chief Freitag will be there.
Nope.
You will not be there. Okay.
I'll be in San Antonio for
gosh.
Fire Rescue International.
because I can't be there either. So I guess it's just going to come down to Chief Parra and his mustache. Maybe Chief Fatima will.
If Parra can't make it, just send his mustache. It'll do all it needs
Oh, yeah.
to do.
It does
We'll give him
everything.
his own booth. So anyway, August 27th, we'll figure out who's going to be there later. But from 10 to 2 o'clock, we're going to have a lot of vendors there between us, law enforcement.
Priority ambulance, Lifeline ambulance.
You know what we could do, Chief? If you have time, we could set up a TV with the camera and people could walk up and just talk to you.
I'm going to be at the airport in San Antonio that day, flying back from Fire Rescue International, so I'm not sure that would work, but I like the thought, John.
maybe
I
for
could
next
just,
year.
it would be like I was there. I'd just randomly
Right.
talking.
Yeah.
So, no, that'd be perfect. But August 27th, 10 to 2, it's at the Central Arizona Regional Training Academy, which is 9601 East Valley Road in Prescott Valley. Law enforcement, EMS, fire, dispatch, we're all going to be there in one place. You can see it online. You'll see it on social media. So we invite you to come out. I know Priority does some interviews on the spot. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they'll be doing that again this time, but I know last time they did some on-the-spot interviews. But great opportunity with Priority as well, especially if you're just getting out of EMT or paramedic school. So don't discount that. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Jonah, thank you once again this week. Appreciate it. Look forward to the migration. Not really, but it's exciting. Eric, thank you again for coming in last minute. And for all of you out there, thank you for watching. And please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and submit your application.